All right, I'm back, and so it's 4:30 in the morning. Very unusual for me to be woke at this time, but for some reason I did not want to go to sleep last night. I don't know why. Well, tonight I'm gonna stay up. I don't feel like going to sleep, so that naturally led me down a road of watching YouTube, and I just been on YouTube for hours, literally. Cool, I'm looking terrible. I'm looking like me when I've been laying in the bed on YouTube for hours. Let me stop judging myself. But yeah, besides that, I just finished watching 85 South show with Tye Tribbet on there, right? And that was so crazy. First of all, I was scrolling and I seen Tye Tribbet 85 South show, and then I started watching it, and it's so crazy to me because the main thing, it's a lot of stuff that was going through my head, but the main thing that kind of is resonating with me is like religion. We have put God so far and so deep into a box. I don't even think we realize how much we have crammed him into a box, or crammed a relationship, or made a relationship with God look like a certain look, or look like a certain behavior. Oh, I'm walking with God because I don't cuss. Oh, I'm walking with God because I don't smoke. Oh, I'm walking with God because I don't dress this way. Oh, I'm walking with God because I don't dress that way. Oh, I'm walking with God because I don't make no mistakes. We have turned God, well, I ain't gonna say we turned God into religion, but we have made God to be religion when he is so far from that. Therefore, having the people who really try to love him and trust in him, believe in him, chase after a behavior, or chase after an image, or chase after a look, and we let that be the signifier of, oh, I'm with God because I have this look, or I have this certain way of talking. When God is like, I can speak through Carlos while he's smoking a blunt and high. I can speak through DC Young Fly while he's smoking a blunt and high. I still love them doing whatever they doing. We forget that God is God. Like, he literally created the world. Like, God is still in control. No matter what we see, no matter what's going on, God is God. And it's like we try to make a standard. Like, we have this standard in God. Like, if I get up to here, I'm trying to get to, like, there's a standard, right? But also, there's a standard for me, and that God has set for me. My standard is not going to be the next man's standards. God is using 85 South show. God used a lot of people that we wouldn't look at as God using them, because maybe they cussed a few times, or maybe they was drunk when they said it, or maybe when they was, whatever the case may be. But my standard, made the standard that God set for me, not for what the world says for me or say I should be like or act like because I believe in God, but the standard that God set for me is not the same that he's setting for the next man. Because guess what? DC Young Fly gonna reach some people Alana can never reach, or some people that you will never reach. And I was sitting there, I got up, I went to the bathroom. So I said, God, we've been stuck in religion. We've been stuck in religion so long, forgetting that you are God. And I asked myself, why do we have this picture? And if you are God and you do the things you do, like, what is your goal? And then this what came to my mind is so that not one man shall perish. Not once. He don't want to see one soul perish. He don't want nobody going to hell. So it's not that God's goal is not to get you to act a certain way. His goal is to get your soul in a certain position where you can live with him eternally. And the only thing you have to do that Only thing you have to do in order to do that is to believe in God. Now, if you want to live a greater life, a more in tune life for God, whatever the case, you want to reach a certain level of the exact standard that God set for you, of course you're going to have to walk with him, because it say, draw closer to me and I will draw closer to you. And naturally things will start falling off of you, because it is not because God is going to be like, Lana, you can't do that no more. You can't do this no more. You can't do that no more. Stop doing this. It's going to be because God is so good. It's just like Tye Tribbet was saying on this video. It's just gonna, you just gonna sit back and be like, God has been so good to me, so let me do this. It's gonna be out of love. It's gonna come natural for you. Certain things you're not gonna want to do anymore. And it's not because God said you have to be this certain way. It's because it's not gonna be because God said you have to be a certain way. It's going to be because of his love that calls you that way. So yeah, we have got God's thoughts confused into thinking he is after religion. He is after a look. No, he after your soul. Because he loves you and he wants your soul to be with him. Your soul to be with him in eternity. Your spirit to be with him in eternity. He wants you to be in heaven. God's goal is for you to be in heaven. Even if you don't have the perfect life, even if you don't have the perfect life here, you could be a crackhead all your life and still believe in God in your heart. But we're gonna be surprised. People gonna be so surprised when they get to heaven and see people that they did not expect to be there. The homeless man that was on the corner, yeah, he gonna be there. The girl that you always calling the hoe, the prostitute, all of them, they gonna be there. Because it's not about a religion. It's not about an image. It's not about a behavior. It's about your soul. It's about your heart. Oh, Jesus, I can go on and on. So what is God's goal for us? That not one soul perish. That no man goes to hell. So we have to be in a position, the people who actually believe in God, we have to be in a position to where we're not judgmental, because we know we also living off of grace, our very own self, knowing that we're not perfect. I can slip up, and I have slipped up and got high after I said God delivered me from weed, forgetting that I still got a flesh. Like, I thought I was invincible to it, that it would never happen to me again, but it ended up happening. So it's like we have to get into a position ourselves that where we can reach people and stop judging people and love people and have the same grace that God has for them, and stop putting ourselves in a position of God, because we don't see their heart. Just like when Samuel was going to anoint David, Samuel himself had his eyes on the first son and said, this is the king. And God was like, no, Samuel, back up. You're not seeing it the way that I see it. Yes, he's handsome on the outside. Yes, he has the look. Yes, he has the image. But I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at, he was one of the older brothers. So yes, he a warrior. He going out there in the field. He fighting in Saul's army. But I'm not looking at that. What is his heart? God said that about some of us. Yeah, they in church. I see. And people applauding us because they can see the outside. Yeah, they in church. Yeah, they can pray and pray for hours. Ooh, when she sings, she sound good. And God like, you looking at all of that, getting it confused when I'm looking at their heart, and they heart don't even really belong to me like that. And that's how we got the world, I ain't gonna say tricked, but we got it messed up. Like, we literally have to rewire our minds to believe that in a God who can use, and I'm just using this as an example. I'm not even saying it like they bad or they shouldn't be doing this. But he could use just for instance, I was watching this 85 South show. He can use a DC Young Fly as he's sitting there high as a bird, smoking, speaking about the Bible, telling the truth. And a lot of people can't even, a lot of Christians won't even watch their video because they're here to start hearing the stuff they saying and be like, oh my gosh, and they relating that to God. They're saying that about God. But if you know the truth, there was nothing but truth in that video. But anyway, I ain't come to really talk about the video. This video just sparked me. So yeah, where is your heart at? So we have to be in a position to reach other people. In order to do that, I feel as if we have to live up to our very standard, to be our very own selves, and not have this image of perfection burdening somebody else to be perfect when it's impossible. I ain't gonna say it's very easy to be perfect, but it's impossible to be perfect at the same time. And what I mean when I say that, this is my definition of perfect. To be perfect to me is to be you wholly and nothing but you, to be you completely. That's perfect to me. And it's easy to be perfect, but it's almost impossible to be perfect when we bring in other people's ideas of what we think we should be. So perfect to the world may be somebody who don't cuss, who go to church, who don't do no drugs, who don't do this, who went to college, graduated 4.0, very handsome, very beautiful, got finances, all of that. That may be the world's image of perfect or society's image of perfect. That's impossible. But it's very easy to be perfect when it's very easy to be yourself wholly. Perfection is not impossible if you are striving after the right version of perfection. So in order to reach people, we have to be perfect within ourselves, be perfectly us, and not be ashamed to say or shy back from saying, hey, I don't get it all together. I still fall sometimes. I still lust after things I shouldn't lust after, people I shouldn't lust after. But God is keeping me. It's not that I am the strong one. It's just that God is keeping me. Because if I didn't have God, I'll be out here, I'll be getting high, which is still a possibility. I'm not perfect. Not saying I'm finna go do it on purpose, but it's still a possibility because I'm still me. I could be out here with any old kind of girls doing what I want to do, doing what my flesh want to do. Ain't no telling where I could be right now if it wasn't God who was keeping me. And that's what we have to realize. It is God that is keeping us and not we ourselves. What the scriptures say, it is God who made us and not we ourselves. Without God, we are literally nothing. Without God, we are literally nothing. And without God, we are just out here. We think we strong. We think we got it together. That's not true. That's God keeping you together. That's God keeping you from following after your lust for desires. That's God giving you the mind to look the other way, or to keep scrolling, or to ignore something that pop up on your screen that may have scratched an itch for you in the past, and today you can just keep scrolling. That ain't you. Because on your own, you couldn't even resist. You going straight to it. You going straight to the porn. That is God who got you where you don't have the taste to look at it. And if it just so happened to pop up on your screen, you got the power to scroll by it. That's not true. That's God. We can't forget that. Whew. That's something I've been talking for 15 minutes already, Lord. But that's something I learned. I think it was like a couple weeks ago. It was very, very bizarre. But I ended up getting high. I ain't gonna say it was bizarre. It just happened. I got high. Long story short. And I struggled with that because I was like, man, why I do that? I was so mad at myself. I was so disappointed at myself. But then I realized God's grace. God still loves me. God not taking nothing away from me because of that happened. And it's like I feel like I would be a completely different person in God's eyes because I made this one mistake. I was so disappointed. I was crying. Like literally. I went to one of my spots. I laid down and I cried because I was so upset at myself. But then that's when you come to the realization that is what God is there for. That's when you come to the realization that you're not the person that you thought you was. Not in a bad way, but you're not the person that you thought you was. It's been God who been holding you up. It's been God to give you the power to say no before when it was offered. It wasn't you. And it was like a message to me as well. It's like God was like, I'm not expecting you to be perfect in the behavior kind of way. I'm not expecting you to be perfect in the world's way. I'm expecting you to be perfect in you and with me. Perfection to me, let me add something else on to that. It's not only being you holy, but being in relationship with God. But yeah, it was like, you okay, even with that. I looked at that as such a blemish. Like, man, I done got high. And before I did it, I said, hey, forget it. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Let me go and do it. Get it out the way. Then afterwards, I was high. I went and rode my bike. I went to the garage. Did I make a video? I think I tried to make a video, but I was so ashamed. I was like, man, I can't be on this video while I'm out. But I was like, forget it. Let me press record. I don't even know what I did with the video. I can't even really remember much of what I did that day, to be honest. Well, in the garage anyway. But that's besides the point. Dang, what was I saying? But yeah, I thought that was such a blemish. But God didn't take nothing away from me because I did that. It was literally a lesson to me to say, hey, you're not perfect. You're not this person. You are still a person. You are still a human. You are not a robot. You're not going to get it right 100 times out of 100. You're going to miss about 10, 20 to 30. But that's not what we strive for. We strive for 100 out of 100, 10 out of 10. And God is like, I need you to be you, all of you, even those times when you fall. I need you to be you. And let people see it too. Because I'm not in the robot making business. I probably shouldn't say this, but today, for the longest time, I ain't been enticed. Like, I would see a girl or whatever, wouldn't even think twice about it. But today I was scrolling on my phone. I happened to see, I was like, okay. And I indulged, like, I didn't say nothing. I indulged in it for a few seconds. Like, usually I'd be like, oh no, I'll scroll by. But today I paused. I paused today. And I looked today. It wasn't nothing, it was just regular stuff. But I looked and I indulged with it. Like, when God see that, that's still, it's just like, just because I'm not, ooh, let me hit her up, it still just happened. I just committed something in my heart when I sat there and indulged in it. And I was aware of it. I'm like, it wasn't nothing but a few seconds, but still, it happened. And God is like, I'm not trying to make you a perfect being, a robot to show my goodness. No, I want you the way you is so you can go and meet somebody else where they is. And not put you in a position. That's the exact reason why Paul had a thorn in his flesh. If we read before that, before the part where it said, my grace is sufficient for you. Paul literally said, so that I would not become boastful because of the revelations that I had. Paul was a very, 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 very great man in God, a great man of revelation. But even Paul knew, so that I would not become so boastful in the things of God, he put a thorn in my flesh so I can still come to y'all and speak from my humanity, but at the same time know that it is God who is keeping me. So therefore I will boast in my infirmities even the more, because that is when God's strength is made perfect within me. So I can't come to y'all talking down on y'all because I got a thorn in my flesh too. I could because I'm so great in God, but I got a thorn too. So we can't go to people looking down on them like we on a pedestal. When that's so far from the case, when everybody got a thorn. But it is God who is keeping us. Some things I don't do or I'm not enticed by because it is God who is keeping me. The fact that I'm not sitting around getting high every day, God is keeping me. The fact that I'm not, God is keeping me in a lot of ways. And we love to take credit for what God is doing. We can't do that. Well, we can, but it will lead to the same thing. People not coming to God. Souls not being saved. Because we setting us a imaginary, a delusional bar for them to reach. They got part of it right. It's impossible to be that because we can't even be that. I don't want to serve God because I can't be this. No, you can't. And we don't tell them that, no, you can't be that. I'm not even that. It's God who keeping me. But yeah, I feel like there was a lot. And there's some point. I be going, so I start on a point and then another thing will pop into my head and I be trying to finish that out and then go to the next thing. But by the time I get ready for the next thing, it had been to slip my mind. So yeah. But yeah, I hope y'all understood what I was saying. I was kind of all over the place. So I guess the main thing I would say is just to be perfect in you. And just like a scripture we love to quote, God has made everything beautiful. Well, we quote it wrong. We say God will make everything beautiful in His time. But the scripture literally say God has made everything beautiful in His time. So it's just a matter of time for the beauty to be revealed. It's only a matter of time. It's not a matter of behavior and all of this. It's a matter of time. When God ready for you, He gonna call on you. Saul was literally persecuting in the act of person. Like he literally just went and got, I would say to relate it now, a warrant or something to go get people who are following the way and bring them back so they can be persecuted. He was literally in that process when the God literally spoke to him and said, why are you persecuting me? He went blind for 3 days. After them 3 days, he was serving God. Did y'all hear what I just said? Paul was already beautiful before he was Paul. He was beautiful when he was Saul. It just wasn't his time. His beauty just had not been revealed in Christ, but it was already there. And when it was time, what did God do? he spoke to him and said, why are you persecuting me? And I'm gonna say Saul, because he was still Saul at this time. And Saul responded, and he went blind for 3 days. And then God sent Ananias to Saul to tell him, so he can tell him that God was about to show him the things that he was going to suffer for the Lord. And from there on, his name eventually got changed. He eventually started going by Paul. But from there on, this man was going preaching the gospel. So much so, so much so when he would go into, like, Ananias didn't even want to go give. This is us. Ooh. Ananias didn't even want to go give Saul the word that God had for him, because he knew him as, but God, ain't that's the Saul that been persecuting the church? I don't want to go tell him nothing. He might persecute me. He might kill me. And that's the same way we do as believers today. We're like Ananias. I don't want to go talk to them over there. They over there smoking weed. Ain't them the ones who was doing this the other night when they just at the club? Matter of fact, how you know all they business if you such a Christian? You been gossiping somewhere along the way. You been watching somewhere along the way where you weren't supposed to be anyway. But that's besides the point. We like Ananias. I don't want to go over there because we see what they doing on the outside. And God is like, no, this is Paul, the one I have chosen to suffer for my name's sake. So, back at it again. When it is time, people are already beautiful, but the problem with us, we can't see the beauty the way that God does once again. Like Samuel didn't see that Jesse's first son wasn't the next king because he saw his appearance. But God knew that somebody was out there in the field with the heart to serve him. That's the same way we are. We don't see the same way that God does. So we don't see the beauty that is already there, just waiting for the time for it to be revealed. Saul was already Paul, but it just had to be it was a time for it to be revealed. And God spoke to him and said, Saul, why are you persecuting me? You went blind for 3 days. And from that point on, he was preaching the gospel to the Gentiles. To the ones who people didn't want to preach to the ones that Peter was still kind of finicky and acting funny in front of. Paul had to call Peter out and said, you was cool when who was it? It was somebody around. You was cool when they wasn't around, but now that somebody else around, you want to treat the Gentiles a different way. So yeah. God already has a set time for people. He has a set standard for everybody. Everybody ain't gonna be in no suit preaching. Some people gonna be on 85 South Show. Some people gonna be in the trenches. Their name ain't gonna never be known. But they gonna be in their neighborhood, sitting back on their porch drinking beer every day, but still instilling stuff in the youth that's coming up beneath them. So we have to get God out of religion. Get God out of a box, because God is God and he is so great. If he will use a donkey to talk, if he will use Saul, if he will use Peter, the one who denied him 3 times, cut somebody's ear off, what makes you think he won't use somebody? He used the prostitute. Well, I don't even want to say it that way, but he used, was it Rahab, her name? To hide. Who was it that went to spy out the land? But he used her, basically. To hide. I forgot who it was. They went to spy out the land, but the people was looking for him to kill him, so she hid him. God used her to hide them. If God used babies, it said in one Psalms that God uses, I'm paraphrasing, but it's saying one Psalms that God uses the infants, like babies who don't even have formed words like I'm forming. They babble, even fight the enemy. So even if God uses that, what makes you think? What makes us think that he won't use the less likely person? It's always gonna be the stone that the builder refused. And he became the chief cornerstone. That's just how it is. That's just how God is. And I feel like God is trying to show himself in that way. But you know who's gonna be the most stuck? Church. And I'm not talking about a particular person. I'm talking about the entity of the church as we know it today. Most people know the church as stiff-necked people. As funny I said that. Stiff-necked people. The same word that God used to describe the Israelites. Oh, this just hit me. The same word that God used to describe the Israelites. It wasn't that they were stiff-necked because of the behavior that they had. Stiff-necked mean you're not moving, that you stuck, that you stubborn. They were stiff-necked in their belief. And the church is the same way today. We are those same stiff-necked people who won't move out of this box of religion or thinking a certain way. And God is like, you stiff-necked people. The same offense that the Israelites, that they had when they was in the wilderness. And you may not have no golden calf, but you in the same posture. Y'all holding the same posture, but you can't even see it because at least I'm not doing that. But I'm still in the same posture as them. It wasn't about what they was doing. It was about their posture that they had towards God. Like I deliver y'all throughout all this stuff. I done did this, I done did this. Y'all still can't see me for me. Y'all so stiff-necked. Y'all can't look around and see me for real, for who I really am. The miraculous God that I am. So y'all are literally stiff-necked because y'all refuse to turn y'all head and look another way and view me another way. Stiff-necked people. Y'all so stuck. Same way today. Same thing he's saying to the church today. Y'all so stuck in what y'all think I am. But y'all won't even look to the side and see me using the girl y'all calling the hoe and all this, or see me using the gangbanger, the people you talk down on, the person you see. Y'all so stiff-necked. Oh, you gotta wear a suit. Oh, you gotta talk this way. Oh, you can't do this. You stiff-necked people. It may not be the same thing, that you may not be doing the same thing that the people in the wilderness was doing, but we holding the same posture. And we all know how, well, I ain't gonna say we all know, but let me tell y'all how God felt about them people. He didn't like them. He was ready to kill them. Cause Moses literally had to go on the mountain and plead with God for him to go with them. Cause God told Moses, if I go, before y'all get to the battle, it's gonna be over because I'm gonna be the one who do away with y'all. The people ain't even gonna get a chance to touch y'all because it's gonna be me. But Moses had to go over there and be like, God, but you said you know what's my name. God, if you don't go with us, then what the people gonna say? They gonna say you turned against us. God, in the same way today, you stiff-necked people. So y'all, listen. Learn to see God in everything. We say that all the time. God is everything. God is in everything. But do you really believe it? Because the first time you see somebody, even a pastor, say Michael Tye spit. Michael Tye spit to demonstrate a Bible story very, 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 very literally. Yes, it was nasty. It was his brothers, but yeah, it was nasty. But at the same time, we literally demeaned that man because he spit. You stiff-necked people, you so stuck on a certain way. And God is like, that was me. God is like, you can't see me? So like I said, when we get to heaven, we're gonna be surprised, surprised, surprised. Whew. But yeah, I did not come on here to talk 35 minutes. I truly did not. But yeah, I said, let me go and get this out while it's fresh. I was gonna wait till tomorrow, and y'all see I keep leaning up because I hate the fact that the light only shining on this half of my face. But yeah, I could have did a little flashlight. Why I ain't think of that? Could have brightened it up a little bit, did something like this or something along the way. But yeah, anyway, it is now, y'all see what time it is, 5:04 a.m. and I ain't been asleep. I said I was gonna wait till tomorrow to talk about it, but I said let me just go and see it while it's fresh, because by the time tomorrow I'm gonna feel like I done thought about it too much and everything I say gonna be premeditated. So yeah, I'm naming this video Religion, and that's it.